Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, it's going. All right, I'm Brian Ryberg from Portland State University. Will you please state your full name, including your maiden name?
I'm Isabel Montemayor. My maiden name was Guajardo. Isabel Guajardo Montemayor.
Okay. And what was your date and place of birth?
I was born October the 19th of 1926 in Brownsville, Texas.
Okay. Well, we spoke briefly about your experience with the Valley Migrant League. And in this interview, we'd like to go a little bit more in depth with your experience. So, what was your role with the Valley Migrant League, and how did the outcome of that affect your life?
Well, from the beginning, when we arrived in Oregon, the Valley Migrant League had Vista volunteers that came out to the labor camp where we were staying, and they said, do you want to study? Do you want us to help you continue your studies, eventually to get a GED? And I, as all my life, that had been a goal of mine, of continuing my studies. So I did. They came out to the camp, and it was through the Valley Migrant League that I started my studies, and then from then on, they had it was called a winter day school that they had for migrant families. It was mostly geared towards men, but I guess in that my husband, I was placed as head of the household because my husband was, I was more advanced in studies than he was, so that gave me the opportunity, and so I went on into the winter day school. I think it started in October and ended in April, and so by the end of April, I think of that first year, which was in 1967, that I got my, wait, 68, I think. Well, it was 67, 68 that I earned my GED through the Valley Migrant League, the program that they had set up for families, for migrant families.
Prior to receiving your GED, what was the extent of your education?
I had just gone through the 9th grade. I had just finished freshman years, my freshman year of high school.
Okay. Did you ever work for the Valley Migrant League or involved in any of their boards, any of their programs?
Every board that you name it, I was in every board. That I was in the local board, the state board. It was three. I think we had 3 different boards that we had. Plus, we had the migrant ministry, which involved all the ministers here in town that worked with migrant. They were putting forth an effort to help see how they could help the migrant families. And so I was on that board. I was on the migrant health, and let's see which other board. Yeah. So yes, I would. We had a local board which was in Dayton, where the migrant office was, and then we had the one in Salem, which was the state board, or so yes, I was in all those boards. We did when we had I sat on the board if we needed a worker, that we needed someone to work with families, or I'd sit on that board and we'd interview and do all these. So that was part of what I was doing. Aside from that, after, well, this is when we first started, and but I was involved in, as I say, in all these boards, and I had communications with, as I said, all the ministers of the different churches here in town, and migrant health and all these things. So.
Out of all your experiences serving on the health board and the state board, what is one in particular experience that you could remember that was really positive? Something you did that really helped a lot of people? Maybe it was a program, maybe it was just a decision you made.
While being on the board, I was selected to be a member of the board of YCAP here in town. I don't know if you know Yamhill Community Action Agency. When we started, the board was consisted of different members of different associations. So I belonged to. Out of all this, we built an association on ourselves. It was called the Yamhill Farmers Association. At one point, I was president of that association.
Oh.
So from that association, I was chosen to be on the board of YCAP, of the Yamhill Community. And it wasn't to be yet. That we had nothing. So it was one commissioner and an agent and an older person, myself. I think it was about 5 of us that we had to go to Seattle to go to the main office there to ask for $50,000 so we could hire a director, so we could build up on the Yamhill Community Action Agency. So in one day we drove clear to Seattle and came back, and we did get the $50,000. Mm-hmm. And we did hire our director. And for now, I feel that was a great accomplishment, because that place, I think, is valued at, I couldn't tell you because I haven't kept up, but it's valued at, we have a bus service here in town. We have the health, the Head Start. Mm-hmm. It's run by the Yamhill. And I think they help the elderly with weatherization, help them with, when they don't have enough for heat and things. So I would think that was one of the, I think that everything that I was involved in, I think that was a great accomplishment, because we were out there showing that the Spanish Pecan or the Mexican Americans or whatever people want to call us, we were doing something for ourselves, so.
Exactly. Can you describe how your experience with the Valley Migrant League, outside of continuing with your GED, helped you become college educated and helped you become a professional eventually?
Well, that did it all, because that's where it started. See, John Little was the director of Valley Migrant League at the state level, and then Ruben Contreras was here in Dayton, and then Dr. Sardina was the head of the Spanish department of Linfield College at that time. So they got together, and I guess they said that there were farm workers out there that were college materials, and that they should get an opportunity of going to college. And so that's where it all started. They got this program going and everything. I didn't even know about this, but Dr. Sardina had been preparing us. He'd come out we lived at Ayola Village, and I worked all day. After I got my GED, we had a daycare. That's another thing that I was doing for the people. We had a daycare that for the migrant families, and I ran it. They'd pay me $16 a week, which I said it seemed a lot of money because we came from Texas and you didn't make very much money back there. But anyway, I worked there, and I was the head cook, the dishwasher, the changed the children, did everything, you know. So I had and I did it all by myself. So I had two young girls, you know, that would help me there a little bit. But that was done through the migrant ministry. It was called. I think it was the Baptist church from town had this chapel there that was run by Mrs. Wakeman, and she set up they would set up this child care, so that had me be director of or work there with the children. But so I didn't know that what was going on, you know, with that Dr. Sardina and Ruben and John Little, and I don't know who else were getting all this going. But Dr. Sardina would come out to Ayola Village 3 times a week for 3 hours every night and give us pre-college courses in Spanish, English, and science. And here I was working all day, plus I had to take care of my family and everything, but I'd come to those college courses that he was giving. So we had a little bit into the pre-college, what college meant. And so at the end of that year, Dr. Sardina one day shows up in my house. I don't know who else was with him. Maybe Reuben and maybe even John Little. I can't remember. But anyway, he says, "Well, I've got some papers here for you to sign." And I said, "What for?" And he said, "For you to go to Linfield County." And I said, "Me? I only wanted to get a GED. Why go into anything further?" And Dr. Sardina goes, "Isabel, right now, you're right in the middle of the road. You're not here, you're not there, so you're in the middle. You're not going to go anywhere." And I said, "Oh my God." And I said, "Well, if you say so." And so I signed those papers, and into Linfield we go. And we started right that summer. He put us right into the way he put it, he says, "I don't like to give my students their dessert before the main course." So he puts us into statistics, which, my God, I hardly knew. Statistics, science, and what was the three? And English. And so, you know, that's how it started there, and we went, and we finished at Linfield, and it was the 3 summers took care, because it was an ongoing thing. 3 summers, and then we took up one of the years, so you know, took that, so 3 summers and then the 3 years, so started in 69 and finished in 72.
Well, it sounds to me that you really took advantage of the educational experience that the Valley Migrant League gave you. What other programs, besides the educational programs, work programs, housing programs, did other migrant workers or agricultural workers able to take advantage of that the Valley Migrant League provided?
Yes, we had, while going to Linfield, we never even rested during our spring break, we had to go into the office and do work there, whatever needed to be done, file or whatever. We did, we took students, there was a program at the University of Oregon that was working with students that didn't speak any English at all. And so we took a group of students over there at one, and one of them, by the way, works at Portland State. That's Maria Luisa Alanis. She I don't know what she does there. She works somewhere there, but and they didn't know any. The Alanises had come to, lived at Ayola Village also, and so there was three sisters, I think, and a brother. But I think the brother and another sister were going already in the high school. But those two we took over to U of O, and they got enrolled there, and I guess she went on and on and on and got a degree there. So that's part of what Valley. They also had, they had job. They did all kind. They had people, they taught young ladies secretarial work. They taught them, how to go around, searching for jobs. They had different classes there. As I say, I was involved, but I wasn't there every night. But I know there was something going every night, there, and that helped people especially finding work. That was one of the main things that they had, because we had a job counselor, because we hired, I remember Felix Zamora. He came in from Texas, and we hired him as one of our jobs, and that they were supposed to go out and look for work for people, that wanted to work. Because while I was getting my GED, I know a person came from the Valley Migrant League and started interviewing ladies there. That's when Diana's now Mission has bought that company out, the tortillas, that make the tortillas, the Mission company. Okay, so it was Diana's at that point, and they were hiring people, so they would come in there, and these ladies that were trying to learn English, they were trying to find them jobs, where they could be positioned. So there was a lot of they did a lot of good for the community, for the people.
Now, earlier in the interview, you mentioned the VISTA program.
Mm-hmm.
How is the VISTA program different in ways from the Valley Migrant League? And just a brief history, did it start before, after, or was it a simultaneous program set up just as a response to agricultural workers in the area?
The only contact and the only thing I can tell you about the VISTA were this young man that came to my door and offered his help because he had come volunteer to help the Valley Migrant League. And he was there. I don't know what else he did or what he did. This is the thing that I knew he was doing. He was trying to